The movie reviewed in this episode is rated R. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah.
I gotta mention just real quick, like, all these cult motherfuckers, like, for them to all sync up their schedules.
I mean,
kind of
really?
impressive.
They got a Google Calendar.
Wow.
They got a Google Calendar.
They're all
or
work from home.
something.
Yeah.
Like, how
They
can
send
you
each
get
other
all of your
doodles?
friends together like
Yeah.
that? Because I can't seem to do that.
Do you know what Doodle is?
Huh?
That calendar
Oh, yes.
tool, the Doodle. They all send each other doodles.
Yes.
Like, when can we
Yeah.
haunt this house?
Yeah, when can we go?
when are we stripping naked and worshiping Paimon?
Yeah, when is the
Monday at
worshiping Paimon
6,
thing?
Tuesday
Yeah.
at 5.
When are we gonna go desecrate the grave and like dig up the body? Like, when is best
Yeah.
for
Does
that work with
everybody?
your schedule?
Oh, I have a dentist
Yeah.
appointment on that day. Can we move
We have
it?
to reschedule the desecration.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scary Movie Nights podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where the scares are real, but the friendships are realer. Today, we will be discussing the well-known 2018 film Hereditary. That's Mariana,
And that's Joanne.
and we are your hosts for the night. And for the first time ever, we have a guest. Yeah! With fanfare. I love it. Mariana, would you like to introduce him?
I would love to.
Yay.
Friends and family of the podcast. This is my partner, my best friend, my lover. This is Logan Martin.
Woo!
I'm so happy to be on the podcast. I was a little worried that y'all were about to just skip past me. Like, I was like, am I going to introduce myself? Okay.
No, we're your
Cool.
hosts, and then we introduce you,
Yeah.
and then you introduce
Yeah,
yourself a little
so happy
bit.
to be on the
Now go through the run of
podcast.
show, Logan, that we just shared with you 10 seconds ago.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Yeah, wow, unbelievable that you didn't read it in 2
Yeah,
minutes.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
through
welcome,
this real quick.
welcome, Logan. We're very happy to have you tonight. Now, Logan, what had you praising Payman this week?
Whoo, praising Payman. Yeah, for me, it's just like scary movies and friends.
Nice.
So, like-
I love that so
Yeah,
much.
scary movies and friends. You know,
Stop right
I just thought I would go
now.
real simple, but like wholesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And we've just been watching so many scary movies, and we just went through like peak Halloween season, so
Yeah.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
been so much fun. It's
Yes.
been really great.
Absolutely.
Mariana, what had you praising Payman this week?
I was praising Paimon this week because of sleeping in.
Word.
Yeah.
Sleeping in.
Word.
Just waking up on my own when I feel like it. I mean,
No
nothing
alarm.
crazy. I'm getting up at 8:30.
The sun.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just the
Queen.
sun.
The
Yeah,
cats.
honestly.
The cats.
Yeah. Honestly, the
That's
cats.
The
so
cats.
real. That's
Yeah.
so real.
Joanne, what about you? What had you praising Paimon this week?
So for me, honestly, sleeping in's a really good one. But I also can I do something that I will be praising Payman for at the
Yeah.
end of the week?
course.
Okay, because we're going to Renfest.
Ah!
I'm so excited about
I'm so
Renfest.
pumped.
Yeah.
And not to reveal my like inner alcoholic, right? But like when I go to Renfest, I love drinking mead. And so like when I go to Renfest, that's like my mead drinking time. And like I
Thine
never
cup will be full.
oh my god, immediately. Like we get there, it's 11 a.m. and people are like, you're gonna go buy how many I'm like, girl, do not judge me right now. This is an alternate dimension.
No, yeah.
This
that's
is
literally-
another reality.
No, yeah, completely.
You gotta have one on
Catch
hand.
Joanne
Yeah.
at the meadery.
Another one ready to pop
Which, you
open.
know, like it's funny because like I'm not a big drinker at all. Like I don't really drink anything throughout the year, mostly for like fitness reasons and like
Yeah.
health. But I'm telling you, the Renfest is going down.
Good for you. I
It's
don't
going
know
down.
if I'll be indulging.
Partaking. Okay.
Mostly, honestly, because of the stomach issues I've
Oh
been having.
no, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is annoying because I would like to. I think I'm just gonna see how I'm feeling.
Yeah, you
But,
totally should.
but I've also haven't been drinking a lot for like
yeah.
health reasons, workout reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's hard to like. It's like the payoff is not worth it to me, to where it's like just momentary. And then the next morning, the older I get, I find that like recovering from consuming alcohol takes a little bit longer.
Same.
Although I don't get hangovers still. I don't get hangovers at all.
Damn.
But I think I tend to like hydrate and like eat with my alcohol consumption.
I shall be eating.
Yeah.
Fair.
Oh,
that
trust
I shall
me.
be doing.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
all our money is going towards food.
Oh my god.
Bowl and cup will be full.
Thine bowl and thine cup shall be full.
There will be plenty. But yeah, that's what I'm praising Paimon for this week. Thanks, Paimon.
So, Joanne, before we move on, I just want to share, because one of our first memories is us playing D&D together.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy orders a whole flight of mead. So 5 different drinks.
Wait, where? Oh, yeah. Okay, for D&D, I will.
and we're like, oh, we're good. And he's like, I'm still going to get it for me. A whole flight of mead just for himself. It's great.
And I will organize them into little I'm like, okay, which one's this one?
It's one of those moments that's like, okay, we'll get the flight of mead, and what's everybody else having?
Yeah.
These are just for me.
No, mead is like my business.
Yeah.
Like I love mead.
Good for you.
It's crazy. I don't know why. Most people find it disgusting, but here I am.
I think I don't love sweet liquor.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Yeah, it is.
I prefer a dry wine if I'm gonna drink wine, but that's just me.
So like, I don't particularly love the taste of alcohol, like liquor.
Yeah.
So I think when I do drink, it's like very sweet to mask like the taste of the liquor, which is another reason why I don't actually drink that much.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. Let's drive into the world of Hereditary. Let's swerve into it. Mar, would you like to get us started with the pre-spoiler section?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would like to start. So we're going to start off with a no spoiler synopsis, as we always do. Today's synopsis is courtesy of Chatty. Here we go. Hereditary 2018 is a psychological horror film directed by Ari Aster. The story revolves around the Graham family, who, after the death of their secretive matriarch, Annie, begin to unravel disturbing truths about their family's dark past. As they grapple with grief and loss, unsettling events unfold, leading to a series of increasingly terrifying and mysterious occurrences. The family members, especially Annie and her children, find themselves confronting... I don't think that's Annie. Wait, is it Annie?
I think so.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that was the grandmother. Oh,
no, Ellen.
Should I do that again?
Ellen is the grandmother.
I'm not going to do that again.
No, you're good.
No,
Annie and her children find themselves confronting strange forces that seem to be linked to both their family history and inexplicable supernatural phenomena. The film blends psychological tension with supernatural horror, exploring themes of trauma, fate, and terrifying legacies passed down through generations.
That's a chunky synopsis.
Yeah,
there's a lot to unpack, if you will.
There's a lot of commas there. I blame Chatty for that one.
Yeah, Chatty, what the heck?
It wasn't bad. I'm just saying there's a lot to unpack. Like
there is.
Like there's a lot of
I think
analysis.
there is a lot to unpack about this film, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
Me too.
So I'll start us off with some movie facts. So the director was Ari Aster, as I mentioned. This was his first like big film. He went on to direct Midsommar, Beau is Afraid, and I mean, obviously he'd done projects before this, but this was his first big budget film. Actually, about the director, he actually has an uncredited cameo in this film.
Wait, whoa.
Yeah, I'll ask if you maybe know where that is.
Well, I read it on your notes, but...
Oh, you did?
You can tell me.
Great. I told you when we were watching the movie earlier.
Did you really? The way that I don't even recall that. That's probably on my phone.
He has a cameo as Annie's art dealer on the phone.
Oh my god.
That's to offer support funny. After the tragedy. So that was him. The movie
what an asshole. I'm just kidding.
No,
he's really nice about it. He's really nice. He
was so nice.
But I think you're so into like her character at that point that like that irritated me listening to. I was like, what the this guy? Come on, dude! Like,
does he
stop
not know
that.
about payment?
And another thing, because you mentioned Midsommar and Beau is Afraid. So, first of all, Beau is Afraid is extremely polarizing. Like,
Yeah.
you have people who really hate Beau is Afraid and people who really love Beau is Afraid. I myself have not watched the movie.
Me neither.
And this is
Me
the
either.
reason. This is unpopular opinion. I actually dislike Midsommar.
Really?
Actively, yes. So like we went to watch it because my husband Brian and I we're like huge movie buffs. So like we go to the movies all the time. We watched Midsommar in theaters, and I just remember feeling like so bored.
Really? I love Midsommar.
Yeah, honestly, I probably need to watch it again because there are movies that I watch at first and I'm just like, that was so freaking dumb. Like I hate that movie, and then I watch it a second time, like, oh, I see the value. So I think I just need to watch it a second time. But yeah, don't cancel me. Don't cancel me. But I actually don't like Midsommar, and that's why I haven't watched Beau is Afraid because I'm like,
Maybe I should.
do
I haven't watched
And that's another
Beau is
cult
Afraid.
movie. So I was just gonna say that's another cult movie. I really liked the setting and the suspense of it, even if it didn't quite pay out like as grand as some people wanted it to be. But I really liked it. And Florence Pugh, I mean, she's great.
Logan's a big fan of Florence.
Florence.
It's true. I am.
Florence Pugh.
What can I say? Aren't we all? Come on, aren't we all? Let's be honest.
She's a good actress,
Yeah.
actually. I enjoy, and she
love
did a
her.
good job in
Yeah.
Midsommar. I think.
Yeah.
I think what Midsommar suffers for me, and we're gonna move on from that after this because it's not a
Yeah.
Midsommar review.
Yeah.
It struggles with pacing to me.
Really?
Yes. And it's an extremely slow burn with very little payoff, and I hate it when that happens in movies. But anyway, moving on from that, that's just my opinion.
My opinion. Okay, the film was edited by Jennifer Lame, and her assistant was Lucian Johnston. And I'll talk about them more in a little bit because I guess the way that Ari Aster approached this movie was he wanted to film this movie, and he was actually kind of, when he was getting ready to produce this film, he was kind of setting it as a family drama first and foremost, and not so much as a horror film. So
Yes.
Jennifer Lame,
Yeah.
she was not an editor of horror. She had never done a horror movie before. So when she was approached by Ari Aster, she was like, why do you want me to work with you? And he really did not want this movie to be shot as your traditional horror film. And he actually, specifically in this interview I read, he did not want your typical jump scares, which I think there's a couple in this film. I can think of two.
Yeah,
where
okay.
I
Yeah.
jumped.
Yeah, okay.
But they're
okay.
not like your traditional jump scares.
No, they're not. And it's really interesting because what I've heard it described as is Hereditary is a family drama with horror elements.
Yes.
Which, it's kind of like a famous thing that people say
Yeah.
about this film, which I completely agree with. And that is so interesting to me that you said Jennifer Lame was the editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting that she is a drama.
Yeah.
She works in drama films, and she's the one who worked
Yeah.
on this film. I mean, she did a marvelous job.
Oh, yes. And
Good for her.
actually,
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk about it now, but Ari Aster was super involved in this film. And when they first cut the movie, which is what they call it in the film world, the movie was over 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. The movie was over 3 hours. And she said that he fought them. Like, there's scenes that he wanted it all to be a specific way. And I think he just had a very clear picture of how he wanted everything shot and done. And so that made it really difficult whenever it came down to like cutting the movie. But yeah, he was super
it's
involved.
a 2 hour and 7, so let's say 2 hour film
Yeah.
out of 3 hours shot. I'm like, that seems reasonable. I know nothing about film
me
editing,
neither.
but
Yeah.
Literally
there it
same. Literally same.
To add on to what you were saying earlier, more about Ari Aster. So what I read is he had done 10 scripts, and for this one, he made it a horror element for financing. So it was his first horror like screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was for financing because horror. He was like, "Oh yeah, we'll get money for that."
Okay.
Like, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. For casting, we've got the amazing Toni Collette. I love her. Literally
Yeah.
Toni
ate
Collette.
the house down.
Literally ate the house down boots, man.
She was so amazing.
Yes.
Gabriel Byrne as Steve Graham, her husband, and a psychiatrist. Alex Wolff as Peter Graham, which I
Alex.
knew Alex Wolff from the Naked Brothers band.
Listen.
Like back in the day,
what?
Nickelodeon.
What is that? I
Oh
don't
my
even know
god, you don't know the
Nickelodeon?
Naked
No,
Brothers band?
I was
It
not a
a show.
Nickelodeon kid.
Oh
I was
my
not a
god.
Nickelodeon kid.
Yeah, he was on there.
I was more of a Disney Cartoon Network kid.
Yeah. Cartoon Network. Yeah. 100%.
I was watching all the television. We've got Millie Shapiro as Charlie Graham, Ann Dowd, who ate also as
Literally.
Joe.
The casting? Yeah.
Literally
Dude,
so amazing.
She's so sweet
And then say the
like,
one last
disarming.
one. Because Mallory also ate.
Mallory Bechtel as Bridget, Peter's schoolmate and love interest.
Who was on screen for like 5 minutes, but she did such a good job being the disinterested teenager, but
Yes.
also like giving the whole theme
Yes.
of the movie away.
Yes.
in
With the whole
class.
thing, like with the teacher, because every time there's a teacher in a movie, you pay attention to
Right.
whatever that teacher is saying because that's a theme, and that is so true in this film.
Yeah,
Now-
the director is literally schooling you
Literally-
in what the movie's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yup.
Yeah.
Exactly. The soundtrack, I just want to mention that the score towards the end of the film, the climax of the film incorporates a lot of trumpets in reference.
Mm-hmm.
Would I say that like that? Trumpets.
Trumpets.
Trumpets in reference to the mythology of Paimon being heralded by the sound of trumpets, actually, which is interesting.
There's so much underlying symbolism about demonology and Paimon.
Oh, yeah.
Paimon, Paimon, whatever you want, however you say
It's
it.
really deep.
It's so deep, dude. You can like
Demonology.
you can deep dive into
That's-
this
I found a
movie.
lot of Wikipedia
I
articles.
mean, I feel
Yes.
like we'll talk more about this in our spoiler section, but
For
there's
sure.
just so many, I guess you could call them Easter eggs in this film, and it's why I love it so much. Every time I watch it, I have like something new that I had not noticed before,
Yup.
and it's so cool. This film was shot in Utah, so the rooms of the house, that was all built on a stage where they could remove walls so that they could shoot scenes at a like greater distance than a practical location would allow, which really helped with the dollhouse aesthetic of the film. Because I love the beginning of the film where it's a shot of the tree house, but then it's the shot of the miniature house and it zooms in on Peter's bedroom, and then you're like in his, it's amazing. I mean, it's so seamless the way they shot that.
I really don't know how they did that.
Literally. Well, so I guess
Yeah.
I have no idea. I
No
don't know.
idea.
We have to ask Jen.
Yeah.
Jen, how'd you do
Jen,
that?
please.
This movie premiered at Sundance and it received a lot of positive critical reviews, but negative audience reviews. But I remember when this movie came out, because I actually did see this movie in theaters when it came out with my
Yes.
friend Jessica. Shout out to Jessica.
Shout out to Jess.
And I remember around the time that this movie came out, the reason I wanted to go see it is because everybody was saying how terrifying this movie was, and how crazy this movie was. And I do think they were right. Now, some miscellaneous details. Paimon is a real king of hell. He can be found in several grimoires. I think that's all I have for that. So be careful. I will say the symbol that they use, which is in the background if you're watching on YouTube, is not his actual symbol. It's very similar, but it's like 3 people sort of that you can see, and that is not the actual symbol for Paimon. It's originally 4. They didn't want to use the real symbol in the film because they thought that would be bad luck, because films that have used the real symbols for these demons have historically had kind of bad luck or kind of weird things happening, like The Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby. So they did not actually use Paimon's symbol. Sorry, Paimon. I also read an interview with Alex Wolff, so he plays Peter. And you know what? Actually, I'm not going to read this part.
Yeah, until our
this
spoiler
has
section.
Spoilers. Okay, I can say this next part. The film was shot in 32 days. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the earlier cuts was over 3 hours long. But I mean, I guess I don't have enough experience with movie making. I have none, actually.
Right.
Very nearly none.
What?
I actually did make some horror films when I was in high school with my best friend.
You know what? That'll be our
Yeah, the
first
24-hour film
live
festival.
live
Yeah.
stream. We'll be watching
would die.
Mars short horror
my
films.
God. But that, I
Some
mean,
background lore.
I don't know if 32 days feels like a short time.
It feels short, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, well,
Yeah.
it was shot in 32 days. Is
Yeah.
that a short amount of time to produce the whole movie, like to edit,
That for sure
maybe it takes
took
forever.
longer, yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's a
32
good
days.
question.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got for the miscellaneous details.
Logan, do you have any?
Well, until,
I know you
until we
researched
get to
some, right?
the spoilers.
Oh, so your facts are all spoilery.
Yeah, I would say I think so.
I
Probably.
have some additional miscellaneous details, but they are definitely riddled with spoilers.
Okay. Before I suggest watching the film, I will say that like at the beginning of the film, especially, you're a little confused as to like what the relationship is between the mom and the like, not the Ellen and Annie.
Yeah.
You know, like Toni Collette's character and
Yeah.
like her deceased mother or whatever. If you go back, if you watch the whole film and then you go back and watch the film, like literally from like the very beginning, you notice things.
Yeah.
And I love this movie so much because of that too, right? But if you guys want, we can move on to our spoiler section.
It's just so meticulously made.
So meticulously made. I mean,
like every little thing.
I can imagine.
Well, the plot requires it to be, and
That's true.
Yeah.
based on the
But I think it's just like
yeah, true.
I think it's a lot like the director. Like he just really.
I
had a
imagined
clear idea.
Ari Aster with like a conspiracy board with like red string connected shit and like
I
that.
imagine him like Sherlock Holmes in his mind palace, just like
Yes.
making the movie in his head, and then he has to make it real.
Because there's so much of it, but
like cold case files.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So before we move on to our spoiler section, listener, if you haven't watched this movie but you think you might want to, stop listening now.
stop right now.
Stop.
And go watch it.
Yes.
100%. This movie is a must watch for horror fans. Beware, spoilers are ahead.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Also, it's been 6 years. Like, what are you doing?
Also, it's been 6 years.
watch
And it's a very famous
Yeah.
movie. It's like very well known.
Yeah.
People talk about it all the time. So go watch it.
It's really good.
Okay. So Mar, did you want to go back and read some of the?
Okay. Now I can go back. So first of all, we got to talk about the decapitation in this film.
yes.
It is a theme.
It's a total
throughout
motif.
But
Yeah.
I think the most notable decapitation that takes place is when Charlie is in the car. And
Hands
Peter.
down.
The first of many.
The first of. Not the first, because the pigeon is decapitated. But I don't know if that counts. The pigeon was already dead.
Well, the
but
pigeon.
Actually
No,
might
but
play into it.
I know it
actually-
absolutely plays into it, dude. Like
Yeah.
everything. Whenever you think about every part of this movie, it like ties into something else. It's crazy, but
We'll come back to that, yeah.
The decapitation of Charlie is actually really similar to a real life event that happened in Georgia in 2004. A young man and a friend, they were driving super drunk after a party, and the passenger felt like he was going to throw up, so he sticks his head out the window. And the driver swerves near like a pole, and the pole's wire decapitates the passenger. And this dude was so drunk, he just keeps driving home. He doesn't realize a thing. He goes to bed, like literally, like just like the movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I just wanted to bring that up.
Except Peter realizes.
Peter definitely realizes.
Yeah.
He
No,
definitely-
Peter.
That
Yeah.
was so terrifying.
Okay, I'll talk about that with the spooky, but that is one of the scariest or most like traumatizing parts to me. It's because I'm an older sibling, and the anxiety of you're taking care of your younger sibling and something happens to them is insane. Let alone to this literally the craziest thing that could have happened, the craziest way your sibling could possibly die in your care happens to him, and the shock that he goes into, like, it's insane. But
I'm not gonna say that this is the same at all. So I'm the youngest sibling, so I don't know what that's like. But like, have you ever done something like, or something has happened, or it's a consequence of your actions that's so dumb and bad, that you just like sit there for a while and you get lightheaded.
Yeah, and you're like, what? No.
You're like,
and you're just like in denial. Like,
yeah,
that
you're just like, there's no freaking way that happened. There's no freaking way that happened.
It's
There's no freaking
that
way.
feeling.
Maybe on a smaller
times
scale.
A million.
Yeah.
Like, literally insane. literally.
I
So,
could not imagine.
Ari Aster, I was reading about this, and he said when he was writing it, he based it on some of his own fears, where it's like of like hurting someone accidentally.
Yeah.
And I'm an only child, so I don't have anything to relate to this, like a younger brother or like siblings. But if you're at HEB, it's a crowded parking lot, and you're backing up, I mean, haven't we all had a close call where somebody was like,
Yeah.
or they weren't paying attention, and then they're in your rearview camera, or they're
It's
yelling
still,
at you, and it's
it'd
like,
still be your bad if you hit them with
yeah,
the
right, like you're on the hook for
Yeah.
that, even if they're not paying attention.
I think even more, it's the mother-son relationship.
Ooh.
Because, I mean, imagine you're a mother and you obviously love both of your kids equally, or maybe not. I don't know how that works. I don't have kids. But one of your children dies and it's the other child's fault. Like, what does that do to your... I mean, you still love your child, but holy crap. Like, that changes everything. Like,
But there's also been history between the mother and the son, though.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I was going to say that.
to where, you know, like later on, happens later on in the film once, like she's trying to process the death of her child and pretty much like blaming Peter, you know, for it, which, I mean, you know, there's blame to put there, like, to be fair. But she's not processing it correctly, like speaking about it and like getting help.
Yeah.
In the past, like, they reveal that like Peter has woken up before and he's like doused in paint thinner.
Paint thinner, yeah.
Paint thinner, and she's like got matches and she's like lit the match.
Yeah, she like woke up lighting the match.
Lighting the match. And so it's one of those, like, the son distrusts the mother because there's like this history there, and now the mother, like, he's done this thing, and there's so much tension between the two and so much trauma.
And the scene where Toni Collette is like sleepwalking and she walks up to him and she's like, I never wanted to be your mother.
Well,
that scene is wild.
When she put her hand up to her mouth, like, I did the same.
We all did. The whole theater, we were all just, it was quiet.
That scene
that was heavy.
Well, so that was a dream. That was not, that didn't actually happen. She dreamed that.
But it makes you think, like, did she feel that way?
Right.
Like, because, you know, it was a dream, but like, is her subconscious
totally her subconscious?
And I mean, I don't doubt that she loves her son, because I think she does.
She does.
It's clearly a strained relationship
that
they have. Now, one of the facts that I was gonna bring up is about Peter, because the actor that plays Peter, Alex Wolff, because there's that crazy scene where he's like,
in the classroom,
like, raises his hand in class, and he like slams.
This is towards the end of his possession, right? Like,
he slams his head onto the desk, and in an interview, Alex Wolff explains that he wanted to actually break his own nose for the scene, but Ari Aster was like, we're not going to do that. He respectfully declined. So he told him that they would give him like a soft cushion desk for the scene. But when it came time to do the scene, he actually slammed his head down, and it was like a soft cushion, but it was like desk underneath. And he actually dislocated his jaw.
Wait, I read that he did not. I couldn't find evidence for that, because I know we talked about.
Really?
He like cut his knee on the desk, but I couldn't find any like hard evidence of the dislocated jaw. Just we should have talked about this before
recording.
I just
no. I love this. I love this so much. Wait.
Let me see.
Fact check.
But he was bleeding.
Reddit.
No, he did like cut his knee and his ankle was swollen. He like tweaked his ankle.
What? Doing what?
Jumping out of the chair, like after he's
because
he jumps back.
He jumps back,
and all the students.
No, that scene was insane, dude, and I love Ari Aster's use of very subtle signs, like the clicking.
Oh
yeah, and
weird.
you hear that, and then also like the light. Like that's like basically that's like Payman's like soul or something, right? Like trying to like enter him, or like going to different places around the film, and. When he oh my god, no, the slamming of the face, that hurt me.
Oh yeah,
when I first saw it.
Yeah,
I do not like gore, so that part was very hard to watch. Tough.
And as a teacher too, like putting myself in that teacher's position, I'm like, what would I freaking even do? Press the button? Like, what would you do, bro?
Yeah, we have this button. It's like a panic button in our classroom.
Whoa, dude!
And it just like calls the office, and it's like, well, what if nobody's there? Like,
yeah.
Now-
Actually, this is like a side note, but the Payman light, it does show up throughout the movie, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of little subtle instances of it.
It's
so
and the sound too.
Yeah.
It's all so.
Well, the
subtle.
sound, yeah.
No, the like the whoosh.
Oh, it's so very small.
So,
It's
yes.
so very
Like
subtle.
when you
wait, there's a sound.
Because,
wait,
okay.
tell me more. Tell me more.
one of my favorite scenes. Oh, I keep saying that. It's like I love this scene, but whenever she throws a book into
Oh my
the
God.
fireplace and her husband is
Oh,
lit on fire, Annie's husband.
Literally. Wait, can
Yeah.
we set that up
It's
first
so
though? Because
quick.
that's so iconic.
Oh my
like,
God, I feel
Yeah.
like we need
so
to go back.
we have to go back.
much.
So Annie is
Yeah.
so desperate to get her daughter back, right?
Yeah.
That she starts to create these seances, and the way she does it is using Annie's. What's her name?
Charlie's.
Charlie's journal.
Mhm, that she's drawing.
That she's drawing in. So then this journal then becomes this like conduit for Charlie's soul, which I legitimately think it's Charlie that's like doing
Well,
the drawings and stuff.
Okay, no, the freaking crazy thing is that I'm pretty sure Charlie and Paimon have been one for a long time.
So you think,
Yes.
well, this little girl is Paimon?
Yes, this little girl like has been Paimon because whenever at the end of the film, whenever they're like back in the treehouse, when that Joan bitch talks to her, talks to Peter, who is obviously not Peter anymore, she's like, Charlie, it's okay.
Oh
And then
yeah, when
she
they're in the
addresses-
treehouse.
So she addresses him as Charlie and Paimon. I think they're one, to be honest. I don't know.
My impression
That
was
was my
that
understanding.
Charlie, like before she was even born, so she was selected to be a vessel.
Yeah, her grandmother.
Yeah.
And what I read is that they thought Charlie was going to be a boy.
Yes.
And so they started the ritual before she was even
Because
born.
they thought she was going to be a boy, and her legal name is actually Charles, and she was named after her uncle, who at 16 years old committed suicide.
Yes.
Because he, quote, his mom was trying to put someone inside of him.
So to kind of backtrack on that
Yeah.
too, like the grandmother who we never really meet,
No.
she dies before the film starts, and
Yeah.
we start with her funeral. She is like the leader of some cult that's trying to summon Paimon,
Mm-hmm.
and they put. So you think they put Paimon already inside of Charlie?
Yes.
And Charlie is
Yeah.
Paimon acting in the world as Paimon.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So in an early scene in the
Or
classroom,
Payman. I don't know.
Payman.
Is
I
it
don't
Payman?
know. I have no idea.
I think it's Payman.
Paimon. I forgot how they said it. In
I
the
forgot
movie.
to. I'm sorry.
In an early scene, they are discussing the subject of free will in classroom because they're talking about
Yep.
Sophocles' plays. And it feels like in this movie, like the family at no point has free will.
Yeah.
And
It's all been set forth for
It's all
them.
been set forth. Like even because I don't know if this is fact, but this is what was my understanding of the film. But in order for Paimon to leave a body, that body has to be decapitated. Because like why at the end of the movie, Toni Collette's character Annie is like levitating, literally cutting her own head off.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So there's something to that. And I think, and it is mentioned also earlier in the movie that Paimon craves a male body because
Yes.
he is male.
Right.
And Paimon, I think, causes the decapitation of Charlie. Because when they're driving to this party, they pass like a pole,
Yeah.
and on that pole is
It's
the
the symbol. Yep.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
think that Paimon pretty much causes everything. And within that scene in the classroom, the love interest, that girl that Peter likes, she's saying like they literally send him so many signs and he like doesn't heed any of them. And I think in this film there's so many signs
Yes.
of what is happening. It's actually ridiculous. Like a lot of the people within the movie end up being part of the cult. Like Peter, one
Yep.
of his friends that he's smoking weed under the bleachers
Uh-huh.
with, he
Oh, yeah.
is in the end scene.
Shut
with
the
cult.
front door. I've never
Yeah.
noticed that.
Girl, yes.
Yeah.
Which one?
I don't
Like
know.
his main butt, the one who's
blonde
like,
boys,
bring
I
your
think.
dick.
Yeah.
I don't know
that
if
guy?
it's the main guy. I don't think it's the main guy, but he's like smoking under the bleachers with some dudes. And,
Whoa,
and then one
I
of them
never
is
know.
at the end.
Whoa.
Well, the teacher,
know.
Blowing my
too.
mind right now.
And so
Is
we
one of
were
the cult
watching it today,
members.
and
And the
we
teacher
think,
too?
We
The
think
teacher
the
too.
teacher.
Yeah.
So we paused the scene.
The
And I was
G-
like, that looks like the teacher. So
Yep.
I really think that all of this is just part of some like grand plan, and it like, do any of these characters have free will at
crazy.
any point at all?
No, they don't.
I like,
It's debatable.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
Also-
crazy. No, I didn't notice that.
Also, Charlie, like, because
I watched this movie like 5 times, by the way.
Charlie knows that she's allergic to nuts.
No,
and,
no, no,
like,
no.
Yeah.
So wait. That's crazy because I need to go back and watch,
Yeah.
honestly, because that girl eats nut-related things all the time.
doesn't.
No, she does. She's eating like Almond Joy.
Are you serious?
First of all, yeah, and then
What?
when she's eating the M&Ms, those are peanut M&Ms, girl. I would know peanut M&Ms anywhere.
Because there's
Okay.
one scene, there's a scene where like she's eating a chocolate and the parents are like, is that nuts? Because I don't have her EpiPen.
Girl,
Yeah.
that is almond-filled Hershey's. Mark my words.
Shut up.
Mark my words, because she's crunching all up and down that chocolate like it's almonds in
She
there.
is eating that chocolate.
And I'm just like, wait.
She loves chocolate.
No, I would really love to. Okay, look, maybe I'm completely wrong. But I swear to God,
They
I was like,
clearly mentioned
I mean,
in the
that's a
movie
big
that
plot
she's
point
allergic
that
for
she's
sure.
allergic.
no, they do mention
Yeah.
that. But going back to your point that Payman or Payman, whatever, that he is the one who like decapitated Charlie, basically. She did not have an allergic reaction to any of those nuts until it was time to decapitate her.
I really think
Yeah.
that Paimon was in Charlie, at least, or
No, he was
for
definitely in there, for
for
sure.
sure, because
He was in there.
The mother,
He was in there
Yeah.
for sure.
The mother, the grandmother,
Okay.
Ellen,
Yeah.
she's decapitated also.
Yes.
I think Paimon wasn't the grandmother until she died. And then when she died, Paimon inhabited Charlie's body.
But-
I do think, or I don't,
Paimon prefers a male though, so
No, I think definitely they put.
Like-
I think they put Payman in Charlie, was born a girl, and I think actually I don't think Payman. Something happened to where it's either he wasn't like active or something. Maybe
Yeah.
his soul was
He's
inside
just
of her,
dormant.
but he was dormant inside of her
Yeah.
because he didn't want to inhabit a female's body.
yeah.
And then when she was decapitated, that released his soul, and that allowed them to put that soul into
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah.
yeah, like that was the beginning of the cult plot.
I don't think that Payman is controlling Charlie. Like, I don't think that's Payman. I think Payman is inside Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we see like the side effects of it though, right? I mean, I think that explains a lot of Charlie's character.
Like the clicking.
She's not a normal kid. Yeah, I mean,
No, she's not a normal kid,
No.
but I don't
And she was
necessarily.
like
I don't know.
raised by her grandmother. And whenever, oh my God, but you know how when Annie visits Joan, she drinks this like tea with like weird leaves in
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Uh huh.
And then there's a picture of the grandmother feeding little baby Charlie. and
Yes,
you can
with
see
the little black herbs.
stuff in
Yeah.
her
Yep.
baby bottle.
That so I think those herbs are it like allows like spiritual movement, if
Yeah.
you will. Like I think that's what those are for. I remember watching a video a long time ago, but like
Yeah.
it like the reason she fed that is because then they can put like the spirit of Paimon inside,
Yeah.
or like maybe
Yeah.
it's easier
Like a
for the
prep,
soul to
like
transfer.
preparation, yeah.
Yeah.
what I
preparation.
also read is they had to like prep. So for Paimon to like enter you, you have to be like, you have to like be weakened, I guess,
Yes.
like lesser willpower. And that's part of why they think that like Paimon like burned Steve, the husband, is just like mess with Annie and to like further weaken her. Because right after he burns, Annie is like
Okay,
fully
'cause I
possessed.
love
like,
that.
Let's go back to that. But do you want to describe this
I
thing?
love
That
that
scene is-
scene
yeah.
so much.
Do you want to describe the
It's
scene?
fun in a
oh my god, I
demonic, evil
flipped.
way.
I
Like-
flipped shit.
He's so good. I mean, so Annie believes that she is tied to this diary that her daughter used to write in. I don't think she believes at this point anymore that it is Charlie that she's been like communing with. But she tries to burn this book because she realizes, because Joan approaches her and Joan is not transparent about how she knows her family. And Joan is the one that teaches her how to kind of like almost open this doorway for Paimon to come into her family, her house, her home. And she tries to burn this book when she realizes that Joan actually did know her mother. And when she tries to burn the book, her
Yes.
sleeve is set on fire. And when she puts the book out, her sleeve is put out as well. So she is desperately trying to get her husband to throw this book in the fire. I think knowing that she's going to burn, or maybe
Yes.
she thinks that if she
No.
doesn't-
She's definitely like, I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
She's like, because I'm gonna. She even
Yeah.
says like, I put it in there and I start caught on fire too. I need you to do it.
Yeah.
She's like, and I love you, and whatever happens, I love you.
Yes.
Like, just
Yeah.
do it. You do
She's
it.
ready.
She's ready to
And-
die.
She
yeah.
thinks she's gonna die.
Her
yeah.
husband, who's a psychiatrist.
Well, because at
this
that point now she realizes that Peter is in danger because of the
Yeah.
things that she did.
because
Yeah.
she like read the book and
She
read
read the
about
book,
Paimon at
opened
this
this
point.
gateway. Girl,
Literally crazy.
when will people stop opening gateways?
Honestly, just
Yeah.
close, just don't leave it.
Listener, leave
That
it
friend
closed.
from therapy, yeah, don't go like,
Yeah,
follow through with
this
their
is why
plans.
we don't go to
like,
grief school.
Don't
yeah,
trust any Jones.
Don't trust any
Yeah.
random Joan.
And there's just also like, oh god, I keep having more thoughts, but the whole thing about like, oh, like the character has all these signs and they don't heed the signs. Like when she goes to visit Joan for the first time, the freaking doormat is the same as the ones her mother used
You
to make,
know-
and she's like, oh, weird coincidence, I guess. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, whoa,
What are
That's
the
true.
odds?
No,
Forgot
that
about
is
Oh my
very
gosh.
true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, like you have to think about the trauma
Oh, for sure.
that
Okay,
they're
yeah.
going through right
No,
now.
absolutely.
She is like absolutely beside herself.
I mean-
I'm gonna be honest. I'm a dumb.
Yeah.
I'm a
Me
dumb.
too. No, me too.
Okay, so like I don't think I would have noticed any of this.
Me too.
I would have.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I wouldn't have opened the gateway, but
I
you
mean,
know.
I mean, if you're so desperate, because I feel like
Yeah.
the scenes after Charlie dies, they're like honestly like so moving.
Oh
and,
my
like,
god, when
heart-
she when
she's,
she
like, screaming,
sees,
like,
oh
her
my
screaming
Yeah.
god,
is, oh my god, like I hate it. I hate it. It makes me uncomfortable. Like it. Because it's like a mother, and
Yeah.
she's like literally like I want to die, and like,
Yep.
and then the shot
But
like
it's
moves
exaggerated, though.
from her.
Or-
I don't think so.
I
I don't think it's exaggerated.
That was the
No,
most
I don't think
impactful
so
scene
either.
for me. But so it's exaggerated to highlight that she doesn't care about Peter.
No,
So-
the thing is, I think she does care about Peter.
I think so too.
But then
She never checks on
Imagine-
him. Like, okay, there's a couple scenes we could debate this. There's a
No,
couple-
she becomes completely reclusive, and I don't think it's that she doesn't care about
it's
Peter.
just that it's completely overshadowed by the pain.
completely. She's
Yeah.
completely in shambles. She can't even take care of
Yeah.
herself at that
She
point.
can't, and she like
Yeah,
she-
that's true.
Imagine like someone with like a rational brain would be like, I don't want my son to hear this, because I mean Peter's literally in the other room,
The other room,
listening
yeah.
to his mom say, I want to die,
Yeah.
because of something that he did technically. And so I don't think she's thinking about Peter, but I do think she cares about her son.
So going back to the book, so she knows she's gonna burn up.
Yes.
And she's telling her husband like, "Oh my god, like please put it in there." And he's like, and he goes to the fire and then turns around with the book and he's like, "This isn't not healthy. I'm not gonna
Because
play into your psychotic emotions
and at this
anymore."
point, the
Finally,
husband,
like-
he was like in the middle of sending an email, and he's like, "I'm afraid she's having in the middle of a mental
Yes.
breakdown, like a psychotic break."
Right.
So he's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that."
He's like,
for
"I'm not
you."
playing into this psychotic."
Even though weird shit has happened at this point, like
Yeah.
he has just seen that her dead mom is in the attic, decapitated.
Yes.
He saw,
But he thinks she did it.
Yeah.
He thinks she did
So
it.
that's why he's so mistrusting of her.
That's true.
And then she just goes, ah, and she takes the book from him, throws it into the fire, and he sets on fire
Immediately.
instead of her.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was like, there's no hope. There's
There's
all
no
faded.
rules. Like,
There's
it's a
no.
free-for-all.
The shot of them standing like face to face, like she's facing him and he's on fire facing, so good. And then you just see her
Oh my
face and
God.
she's just like horrified. And then
Horrified.
you see the light that
Yes.
that's associated with Paimon, and it like kind of goes into her.
Yeah.
And then her face just goes like totally like blank.
Yeah. Before we
Such
get
great
into
acting.
before we get into what
Yeah.
happens
Holy
next,
moly.
I do want to touch a little bit about like the themes of family trauma, because
Yeah.
I ultimately I think like the scary part, Payman, like excellent. Ultimately, the movie really is about generational trauma.
Yeah.
What is passed down to the children and the grandchildren through that vehicle, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. So that's why it's called Hereditary, right?
Yeah.
It's hereditary, like what is really inherited here. Sure, demons, whatever, but also it's generational trauma.
Absolutely.
The rituals of the family.
Yeah.
Even like the secrecy. The secrecy is evident in the way that Toni Collette refuses to communicate with her husband and her son.
Yeah, there's
because she goes to therapy and she's like, I'm going to a movie. Girl, just tell him that you're
Why
going
is she yeah.
Like, he can go with
Completely.
you and you both can process the trauma, and that will help. Like, people just refuse to deal with their like internalized trauma sometimes, and it's passed on to their children.
Yeah.
And I think that's so hurtful. And in this movie, it results in your son literally dying and then being possessed by a demon
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
hell, like a king from hell.
And
right?
it's like the direct consequences of that family trauma. Like, she searches for help in all the wrong places.
All the wrong places.
All the wrong places. Like,
Right.
when she should be talking to her husband
Yeah.
and her son and checking in on
Yeah.
them. But no.
And when she does talk to her son, it like that dinner scene.
Oh,
holy
God,
shit.
it's so
God,
good.
what an
That fucking
incredible-
face on your face.
That fucking face on your face.
Sat down. Like,
God, that's
love
so
that
good.
scene.
And I love that, you know, it was written that way because at that point when have you ever been so angry you see red?
Yeah, and you don't make sense. Yeah, yeah.
That's literally that
Yeah.
scene where it's like, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm so
Yeah.
desperate and I'm in pain and I'm angry
Yeah.
and I'm this and I'm that. And you're just sitting there with that fucking face on your face.
Fucking face on your face.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's so good, and I do think because she has a strained relationship with her mother.
Yes.
Obviously.
Again,
and-
generational trauma.
Yeah, but with the because at the beginning she's giving this eulogy and she's saying how her mother is so secretive, and I'm like, girl, you're turning into your mother.
Literally.
Girl,
Literally.
you're turning into your mother.
Yeah.
And like a lot of these things would have been resolved. Like, her husband wouldn't have been distrusting of her
Yeah.
if she told him like, hey, I'm
And
going
if
to
he
clean
had-
people.
100%.
And if he
Yeah.
had told her, hey, your mom's grave was
ransacked,
ransacked,
Yeah.
they could have figured that out together.
Yes.
You know, like, hey, Charlie, let's go to therapy as a family.
Yeah.
You know, like, the communication is really what did this family
Yeah.
in?
It's
Like,
really
further secrecy. You know
God.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't even have to do with them doing any of the rituals,
Yeah.
but it's ultimately what destroyed and like broke down the family unit.
Because I think the family like really cared about each other. Like,
They did,
honestly,
yeah.
like the husband
Yeah, I think
Steve.
so.
I wrote about like he's so caring.
Yeah.
and he's so patient.
Literally the foundational
He's-
rock.
He is a king. A king.
Amen.
There's a scene where
Not of
'cause
hell,
Not of hell.
but a king nonetheless.
In the family, correct.
Yeah.
we don't get to hear from him or Peter. Like, we get to see the consequences, but we don't get to hear their feelings, I guess. We don't get to hear, like, nobody asks how are they doing, really,
Yeah.
besides the dad. But there's one scene where Steve is taking medication, and for me that was kind of like, oh shit, so he's really going through it as well. Because
Yep.
we don't
Of
get to see
course.
his like weak side.
No, it's crazy because
they don't share an intimate moment with him and Annie.
You're seeing, like, especially the scene, like, I'm just, like, picturing it's, like, Toni Collette, she's, like, on the floor, like, literally, just, like, sobbing. And he is just comforting her.
Who does
his
Steve have?
daughter also died. Like, his daughter also died.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think...
Who's there for Steve?
I
you know?
think he's so grounded in this movie because he's the only one that's not related by blood to everybody else and to
yeah.
this matriarch
Yep.
who passed away, who's tied to this cult. And
And I wonder even if like the burning of his body is indicative of the fact that he is not going to partake in the riches and knowledge
Yeah.
that payment's going to bring,
Yeah.
because you're destroying his body.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's nothing
And his
left.
head is not
And
decapitated.
his head is not decapitated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so there's a lot in this movie. There is so much more. Oh my God. But you know, there's no way we can do it in an hour.
No.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, I might be down for like doing another Hereditary episode in the
Yeah,
future, like a year from now. I'll be like,
honestly.
okay, a year later, what else can we catch from?
Yeah.
Here's
from
what we
this?
found on Reddit.
Yeah, here's what we found on Reddit.
Follow up.
Now, is there anything that you guys want to add before we move on to our good, bad, spooky section?
Hold
no, got it.
Hold on.
No,
Oh, okay. Hold on. Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Just a couple of things there's a couple things I want to add in. So there were some like words on the wall that I think kind of divided up the film. It was Satany, Zazas, and Liftoch Pandemonium.
Which
Do you all remember?
I
seeing
do
those?
remember.
Yeah.
And Liftoch Pandemonium. Liftoch means to open.
Yeah, like summoning demons.
Yeah.
It's all like necromancy.
And
is what I
pandemonium
saw.
is the literal, like, it's the place where the demons reside in hell.
Yeah, which was just cool for the world building. You know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
throw a little sprinkled in
No,
there.
No, there's
Sprinkling.
definitely this is literally. You know what? I'm gonna get into the good.
Yeah.
So the last thing, I'll make it short, but I want to add this in because you talked about the bird and how Charlie cut the head off.
Yeah.
So in the book, there's an image of Paimon that was her mom's, Ellen, the grandmother. And the image has like 3 heads that have been like cut off.
Yeah.
And then it's like Paimon on a horse. And so that would be the 3rd head. So it's who is it? Annie's head gets cut off, Charlie, and then the head of the bird.
Or it might
Or-
be Annie, Charlie, and
The grandmother.
Oh, she's beheaded too. Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
she's been
Beheaded,
beheaded.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that makes
they're
more
all
sense.
beheaded.
Let's
Yeah.
throw the bird in there too.
Yeah.
Okay, but what,
bird is the
what
pet.
I
The more
will
the
say
merrier,
with
like-
the bird, like, because Charlie, she has all these weird dioramas and she makes all these weird little toys, and she actually has this little diorama where she puts the bird's head, and it's like people around the bird, and it kind of it's a parallel to the scene at the end
Yeah.
of the film. So actually, the bird
Oh.
head, I think, is relevant,
Significant.
Cool.
significant
Yeah.
It's
in the film.
definitely foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mariana, let's start with you. What's your good?
My good. Okay, I know Ari Aster wanted to stay away from these jump scares, and ultimately we are reviewing this film because it is a horror film, although it is very heavily a family drama. But this movie scared the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And they're I mean, I would even hesitate to call them jump scares. They're so subtle, but they're so effective. I mean, freaking Toni Collette.
They're
crawling
not
all
jump
over the
scares.
walls!
They're not jump scares, but they make you jump.
They make you jump.
Yeah.
It's so scary. Even whenever Toni Collette like is chasing after Peter and she's like banging her head on the
Oh
ceiling.
my God,
So
that's
fast.
That is
Yeah.
terrifying.
my heart
Like,
rate.
literally
Like,
so
let me
scary.
in.
So-
I also love the miniatures. I love trinkets and
Knick-knack.
The miniatures are
I
cute.
love trinkets
Yeah.
and knickknacks, and I love the miniatures in the film. And I think in some way, like if I sit here and talk for a little bit longer, but we can talk about how the miniatures are like the big people in the movie making the things happen for the miniatures, and the miniatures themselves are not in charge of their own destiny, much like the people in the movie aren't, much like it's a movie,
So
so
meta.
the characters aren't.
Absolutely.
And then Sophocles, I don't know, it's a whole thing, but I love the miniatures.
Sophocles.
And then I freaking love the dad, honestly. Like, he...
Listener,
the things-
just to make sure you're not totally lost, but like Sophocles, that was part of the
that's
lesson they were
story.
talking
Yeah,
about.
about Heracles.
Yeah.
About
something along
Heracles
those
About
and
them
how
not having
and
free
how
will.
and how
Yeah.
what's more tragic, the fact that the characters don't know what their fate is, or the fact that they're like choosing
there's
their fate,
clues.
or there's
And
clues,
they're-
and yeah,
they don't-
Is it more tragic to know your fate or not to know your fate?
Would
To
you
know your
wanna
fate
know?
and have control.
Or to know
Well-
your fate and not really have control.
And not have
Or not have
Which
control,
is like
yeah.
every episode of That's So Raven. Sorry, I had a little
It's all
burp
coming
there.
together.
Listen, every time she has a vision, the vision always comes true, even if she tries to prevent it from coming true. It's so
Get it
weird.
together,
This is
Raven.
basically
Yeah.
That's So Raven, which
Logan-
does predate this film. So, actually, Ari, you have some
Inspo.
explaining to do.
Interesting. Logan, what's your good?
Oh, there's so much here. I literally typed it with question marks. Honorable mention, because I saw it in theaters like a month ago, a few weeks ago, for the first time. And I just remember when we were seeing it, and Ani was like in the background in Peter's bedroom, and so creepy. And I remember
creepy.
Brian looking over at John's husband. He was like, "Do you see it?" And I just like, that's a core memory. Never gonna forget that. But no, the
Do you
best
see
part
it?
was like whenever Charlie gets decapitated. And Peter's shock, like the theater was silent. You could hear a pin drop, like,
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
and it didn't cut away from Peter's face. It felt like 10 minutes of
Yes.
just
No, yeah,
hi-
it doesn't. He's just like laying in bed
and the screaming. So while you're staring at his face, we didn't talk about this, but you hear Annie the next morning go out to the car. And
Yes.
what does she find? Yeah,
You know.
Charlie's
Yep.
beheaded body.
Charlie.
And then she just starts screaming for the
Yeah.
rest of the film.
Yeah, I mean that's.
she does.
I love the little. I love the
Let's
little.
be honest.
Slightly comical, but I love the little swim she does out of his room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like,
that
that's
was
so creepy.
Funny. so creepy, but also
But funny.
yes, so funny.
Yeah.
So funny.
It
Oh
is
my god,
silly.
so funny.
So my good, literally everything is
Yeah.
what I wrote down. Honestly, the movie is really awesome. My favorite part of this film is that it's like, I'm gonna use air quotes here, grounded in actual demonology.
Yeah.
Right, as grounded as you can be when it comes to that. Every time I watch it, I catch something else that's connected to like the actual Paimon. Not that I'm an expert on the Kings of Hell.
Yeah.
But it's
I'd be a little scared
Is that
if
a
you
cover-up?
were. Yeah.
no, but like it's like it's a book. You can acquire this book
Yeah.
and read about Paimon and how to summon him and how to summon demons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I like the research that went into that. I love it because it's like it's real.
It's
I believe in
spooky.
I
It's
actually
spooky.
I believe in all of that stuff. So for me it's
Listen.
kind of like
I
this
would never buy or read that book. And I only drew the symbol and have it in my house
Yeah,
because
don't-
I know that it's not the actual symbol.
not the actual
draw the real
symbol.
one.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I don't mess with demons and stuff like that
No.
because I truly think that they are evil. Like there is
Yeah.
evil in the world. So, but for me, like my favorite part is that it's like real, you know? I also absolutely love Toni Collette's acting in this film. She should have won an Oscar
should have
for
won an
it.
Oscar.
It is
Legit.
so amazing, and there's
She's-
literally, mark my words, literally nobody else who could have done this role like she did.
She ate it up.
She almost
Like-
she almost didn't do it, by the way.
She didn't want to do scary.
What?
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was too intense for her. She said she didn't want to
She,
do
she
a
said she just
horror.
wanted to do comedies and she didn't want to do dark stuff, but then she read this.
Oh my god, I'm so
and-
Could
happy
you
she
imagine?
decided to
Yeah.
do that. No, this
I
is
can't.
Hereditary.
I mean,
without-
literally, no, she's amazing. She was my other favorite part of this film.
She was so
Yeah.
Toni Collette.
good.
The whole cast is
No,
incredible,
her
but Toni
acting is
Collette is
insane.
absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
Also, this film was supposed to be set in the winter. So it was supposed to be like super snowy.
Yeah.
I just remember this, but they ended up like with timing and that the schedule that they were able to have, they ended up shooting in the springtime. So it was green outside and they went with it, and they said it kind of like represented this like rebirth of
Yes.
like Paimon, and I think
agree.
it works.
It worked so well.
So well,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
can't picture the movie not having these like green lush.
Yeah.
Like
I can't imagine it
mountains.
with snow.
No,
Barrenness.
I think it's better that
It's
they.
better
yeah.
in the spring. It's more symbolic of that
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Mar, what's your bad?
I have no complaints about this one.
Okay, no.
No
It's
notes.
perfect.
Oh, I really like this movie. It scares
It's
me.
so
it's
incredible.
so unnerving.
Oh my god.
It's so just well done,
Yep.
and the cinematography is great. And I have no notes. No notes.
No notes. Logan, you're bad?
So okay, I think I misunderstood the assignment here. So I put the bad of, like what the characters
things
did.
that can improve upon for
So-
the film.
Yeah, so I wrote
Okay.
it about the actual character decisions.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I definitely.
Great.
oh.
No,
Logan doesn't
but-
actually listen to the podcast, guys.
Yeah. Whoops. No. Yeah, a little misunderstanding. No,
Logan
I
has
just
sat
put
in
the.
on every episode.
Literally
we've ever
every
recorded.
episode. By
been in
now,
the
he's on
room.
his third Pokemon trading card game
Yeah.
match.
I'm
on-
cycling through them, you know. I'm here physically, but not mentally. No, but it just like Ellen should have looked through her mother's stuff way sooner.
Yeah.
Like she had all those journals and like the photos with Joan. Like
yeah.
she could have looked through those a
But
little
that
sooner.
says something
Maybe.
about grief. Like,
Yeah, you don't-
I wouldn't have wanted to see that stuff either, especially.
She-
when
No,
we didn't
true.
really have a
She
close
is the worst
relationship.
person
Yeah.
to process. That's like one of her main
Yes.
character flaws. She is the worst person when it comes to processing loss.
Yeah.
You can even tell when she goes to like the therapy
grief.
group, she's like trauma dumps.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
She's clearly not
Even-
processed her brother's death.
literally not even
Yeah.
process that. Yeah.
Even the other people in the group, I felt like they kind of just stared at her and they were kind of like
that
like
was
stunned.
crazy. The
Yeah.
group was
Like, right? Did
crazy,
y'all catch
bro.
that? Like-
yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy, bro, because they were just like,
She
"Are you
dumped
gonna
hard."
say-" He's like, well, now we're gonna open it up to any new
She
members in
took
case they
a
want to say
big
anything.
Fat trauma dump.
They were like, oh, everyone immediately looks at her.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, you're right. Okay, what
Joanne,
about
what's
Oh
your
yes, the
bad?
bad. Yeah.
The bad, yeah.
So also very very few notes. I think maybe there could have been a few more spooks towards the beginning / middle of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, the absence of spooks only highlights the spooks towards the end. So it's one of those things like there's something going on, but like I don't know if it's that spooky, and then all of a sudden final act comes in and like boom, like hits you in the face with it, and you're just like, holy shit, like I was not ready for that.
There's like one spook that I can think of in the beginning, like towards the beginning of the film, where she's like in her little miniature room and she's just finished looking at her mom's stuff, and she like turns out the light and like you can see Ellen.
That's right. That you're right.
Yeah.
Also the beheading of the Charlie, of course, that's like totally spooky. So you know what? Maybe I'll retract my statement. There are plenty of spooks in this. Honestly, I don't know if I could knock it that much because it's just such a great film. I think it's excellently paced.
Yeah.
The story plot is incredible.
Yeah.
It deals with really very real themes of grief, loss, trauma.
Well made. The acting.
The acting was incredible.
Yeah.
The very few special effects that were in the movie were also incredible. I mean, yeah. What else can I say? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So the spooky, Mariana.
Yeah, the spooky. The crawling on the wall.
Crawling. I put that too.
Not even the crawling, because the crawling
swimming
itself, it looks like she's swimming. It
looks like she's swimming. Yeah.
But whenever, it's just the shot of Peter on his bed, and you just, because you don't see her at first, like immediately, but then you notice it, and it's so startling.
Spider-Man.
It's so startling. And then of course like Charlie's death and the whole like son and mother dynamic, like those interactions whenever she's yelling at him at the dinner table, she's like, I am your mother. And when she's like, I didn't want to be a mother, like that it's crazy. That I think that was the spookiest part for me. But just the also Charlie's death, whenever she's decapitated, I did read another miscellaneous fact just real quick, I'll get it in before we finish. But they created like a fake Charlie, and they had an actual driver do the stunt. So it wasn't like a car like on a track that they had like set up to do it perfectly, but they had like a real driver in just a real car. And he got it on the first shot, and they they actually like had a lot more footage of it, but they ended up using very little of it because apparently it was pretty disturbing to see. But they had like a fake head, and they even like would bash the head in with a bat to see what like that injury would look like and everything. And like
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Shout out to the ants.
Shout out to the
the ants were paid actors.
Oh my god, the ants. They're all in the credits.
This is actually an hour and a half movie. 37 minutes of it are the ant credits. Logan, what about you? The spooky?
I mean, I had the same thing as Mar. The possessed wall climbing.
Yeah, the wall climbing.
Yep.
Bro, she had Spider-Man grip. Like, it's so spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's the final act.
Yeah.
I mean, starting from when she becomes like possessed or whatever, and then when Peter wakes up, girl, it is going down. Yeah. I'm like watching through like, you know, my eyes or whatever, my fingers. Yeah. And what I really loved about this is the way it stuck with me. Yeah. So the thing that stuck with me the most, believe it or not, is like the naked people in the dark hallways.
And they're so smiley.
It's so creepy. Because like everything else happening is supernatural. Yeah. So it's like, you know, what are the odds of something that happen to you? But like finding somebody in your house, that's real.
Fucking terrifying.
And that stuck with me. Like the naked people in the dark hallways and stuff. When I would go into the bathroom, I'd be like, where? Oh, is there anybody in here? Like,
is there anybody naked in here?
Put some clothes on. Yeah.
I gotta mention just real quick, like all these cult motherfuckers, like for them to all sync up their schedules.
I mean, really?
They got a Google Calendar.
Wow.
They got a Google Calendar.
They're all work from home.
Yeah. Like how
they send each other
all
doodles.
Of your friends together like that? Because I can't seem to do that.
Do you know what doodle is?
Huh?
That calendar tool, that doodle. They all send each other doodles. Yes. Like, when can we haunt this house?
Yeah, when can we go?
when are we stripping naked and worshiping Paimon?
Yeah, when
Monday at 6, Tuesday at 5.
When are we gonna go desecrate the grave and like dig up the body? Like, when is best for
Does that work with your schedule?
Oh, I have a dentist appointment on that day. Can we move it?
We have to reschedule the desecration. Sorry, y'all.
And then one other thing that I really wanted to add about just like the movie in general. I keep forgetting things. Paimon. Dude, it was a really great point that I wanted to make, and then I can't think about it. Oh well, I guess it just wasn't that great of a point.
Was it about the naked people?
Naked
the
people?
cultists?
No. Oh, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
So a really spooky part for me, and I didn't really appreciate this part until later, was when Joan. Okay, when Peter is eating lunch by himself, and you know this towards the end,
Yes.
and Joan appears to him like far out from the fence,
Yeah.
but you hear her extremely clearly just saying like, Peter,
Yeah.
leave, like she's like trying to like exorcise
Yeah.
Peter from his own body.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
yes.
what I read about
yes.
too. Yeah.
Oh my god,
It's
that
part
is
of the incantation.
such a harrowing
Yeah.
scene. It's part of the incantation.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, to like expel he's like, I
Yeah.
expel you. And he is like, it really affects him. And
Yeah.
that's when he does the crazy like,
Yeah.
you know, thing.
And maybe does or doesn't dislocate his jaw.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? We may know.
So that for me was a really spooky part of the film.
Yeah.
But
Oh, well, since you're pointing at me.
yeah. Logan, spooky.
My turn. My turn. So I'll just add because you said when it kind of begins with the seance when she does it at home, and Joan tells them like all the family members have to be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we don't know this, but Ellen is in the attic, the grandmother. So that's all the family
Oh,
members.
shit.
Oh, all family members.
Yeah.
But that seance was really
Whoa.
creepy because the candle goes out and then it like spurts fire. It like throws up for
Yeah.
a second. And then it turns back on and then Annie becomes possessed. And the dad, Steve, is like looking under the table, like, are there any strings
Yeah.
under here? And that's when
Steve is
Annie
like,
starts.
What's happening? Talking like Charlie.
Well, she starts growling, and in the theater, I think I remember, and I watched it today, and I was like, "Oh, this is so uncomfortable." She starts growling like a low growl, and then she starts imitating
Yeah.
Charlie, and they start freaking out.
Yes.
They're like, "Stop it! Stop
Yeah.
it!" Like,
Yep.
yeah, that scene was really.
The
good.
seance.
And whenever Peter, because it's several parts, Peter's like, "Mommy, like,
Yeah,
stop.
stop.
Like, it's
And bless
Oh,
his
it's
heart,
sad.
he's
Yeah.
trying
It's-
to like connect with his mother.
yeah, he is. I think
Like
he
at that
so
part, he's
desperately
so
wants
desperate,
to.
wants to connect
and
with
he's
his
so
mother.
like he has this guilt because that's when they're at the dinner table. He's
Yes.
like, just say it, like just
Yeah.
tell me. Like he wants her to be like, it's your fault, like you did this, like, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking.
So, what would you rate this movie? Let's rate this movie in the number of headless bodies you'd keep in your attic for King Paimon. Okay.
I have a big attic.
Logan, you can go first. Out of 5 bodies.
So this movie has a special place for me. Like we watched it together.
Yeah.
I got to see it in theaters, re-release. So I'm honestly, dare I say, 5 headless bodies.
Okay, but I'm right there with you.
5
I
headless.
would say 5.
5 out
bodies
of
as
5.
well.
This is the unanimous 5 out of
Yeah,
5. The
this is
first
the 5.
one.
Yeah.
Special one.
Good for Hereditary. No,
This
it's
is-
such an
And
incredible
people quote
film.
it as being one of the scariest movies they've seen.
Yeah.
That's why I was so scared to see it for the longest time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a fabulous
So good.
film. So now let's see if Letterboxd agrees with our ratings. In this section, we read memorable Letterboxd reviews that are interesting, especially insightful or downright hilarious. Emphasis on the hilarious part, because really that's all. That's all I've
There's
put on
some,
it.
there's some really good
So,
ones.
We need it. We need that.
Right. So I'll start. Mari said, "My friend's mom. None of this would have happened if the son hadn't smoked weed.
This is a
Don't
Dare
do drugs.
commercial.
Stay in school.
Oh my god!
Actually, a Dare commercial.
That's so funny.
It's the devil's cabbage."
That's so funny. The devil's lettuce.
Yeah, the devil's lettuce.
Oh my god. Mari, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, this is by Lily. When your circle's small, but y'all crazy.
Just a little decapitation
Oh my
activity,
God.
you know. We're just summoning
No, but for
demons and
real,
shit.
like, when the cult makes it out of the chat.
Oh my god. Yeah, the cult. Logan, you want to read the next one? Oh, do you have it in
Yeah,
front
I
of you?
just got it on my phone, but there's a couple fun ones. There's one of those like emoji messages, you know, like the holiday
Oh,
messages
yes.
that are like
Oh my god.
smut, like so smutty. There's
Yeah.
one on here that says, "What if we kissed?" with kissing emojis, and King Payment's treehouse, one of the 8 kings of hell, while rejecting the Trinity. It's just
Oh my
Dude,
god.
I love those.
Those are
we
so-
might we
yeah.
might post it. I mean, if we can, you know. All right, this
we
one's
should-
by
if we can.
Sweet.
Story time. My sister is actually the king of hell, not clickbait, like a
Caps,
YouTube
yeah.
title.
This is by Eric with a K. Swear to God, if my grandma is hiding some crazy shit like this in a photo album, then it's on site.
Grandma.
Sorry,
On site
Grandma.
for Grandma.
Yeah.
And by the way, this movie has 4 stars on Letterboxd.
Out of 5?
Out of 5.
Okay, so it's not quite the same, but
No.
4 out of 5, that's kind of crazy for me.
Let me look up the Rotten Tomatoes for Hereditary.
Okay.
It has, and then we can do the
think it's
conversion to
90%.
headless bodies.
I saw it.
90%.
Yeah, I saw it today.
Okay.
So
So
that's
4.5 out of 5 headless bodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you cut that like this or like this? Like on the stomach or down the body?
That's so funny. I think it would be a sagittal cut.
Sagittal. Sagittal. I was trying to think of the name. And that about does it for today. Thank you for joining us, listener. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell your friends about us, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars in whatever app or podcast service you use to bring on the spooks.
Please follow us on socials by going to scarymovienights.com. Our 2 most used social media platforms right now are Instagram and Facebook. Just search Scary Movie Nights on either platform and you'll find us.
You can also message us through our socials or by sending an email to spooky@scarymovienights.com. Tell us what you think about Hereditary. Did you watch it? Is it your thing? How many decapitated bodies would you hide in your attic? My name is Joanne.
And I'm Mariana.
And I'm Logan.
And thanks for joining us for another Scary Movie Night. See you in 2 weeks. Stay spooky.
Oh my God, Logan.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
You heard it? Yeah, I was waiting for the perfect time to throw that in. I gave it a little.
That's so funny. Okay.